But I'm delighted it's come out now. I've been champing at the bit to go out and explain these policies. Because you see, I don't know whether anybody in the studio or Kate remembers the 1970s. I do. You know, my dad and granddad started out as miners, but I ended up as an economics editor on the BBC because I went to university for free. And I cannot wait to get out this evening and talk to people on the doorstep about Labour's offer of a free education to every working class child who wants it, and free elderly care and free childcare. This is going to be a game changer, and I'm really glad they've got it out 4 days early, no matter the kind of organisational chaos that surrounds it.
Paul, let's do that, shall we? Let's talk to Kate and say, how did this come out, Kate? Because your front page obviously has it in all its detail.
It does, and of course it really isn't how Labour wanted their manifesto launch to go down, because one of the most important things about launching a political manifesto is that you get to handle exactly how it looks to the public. It's your big opportunity to make your pitch, and that opportunity has been taken away from Jeremy Corbyn. I think some of the most interesting parts of this manifesto actually are that we've heard quite a lot of it before. The stuff about energy is new, and the education offering is quite new, but a lot of this is what Jeremy Corbyn has been talking about for a very long time. But I think Labour will be incredibly disappointed that they don't get the opportunity to set exactly how this is portrayed to the public, because it has been leaked in this way.
Paul, what do you say to that? Jeremy Corbyn obviously looking here like he can't keep a hold of this very important document and keep it out of the press for another 4 days.
Well, you see, the Conservative manifesto is being drawn up right now by a small group of people. We in the Labour movement do it democratically. It's not the fact that it's leaked from Jeremy Corbyn's office. The fact is that drafts of this manifesto have been flowing around trade union leaders, the interested parties, the Labour societies, the Labour women, Labour Jewish Labour. All these parts of this big party get a say today in a meeting that votes on whether this goes through. I've been wondering whether, in fact, in journalism we ask who benefits. Well, who benefits from this are the people like me who want this manifesto to be radical, pro-working class, and to set what kind of country we come out of Brexit, you know, a fairer and juster society. That kind of plays towards what we're arguing, and there are a few people in Labour who don't want a radical manifesto like this, and I think they'll look pretty silly if they try and stop it.
Sorry to interrupt you there. It's interesting you should say that. There are a few people in Labour who really don't want a radical manifesto. Do you think maybe somebody who really does want a radical manifesto may have leaked this so that it can't be changed? Because if it is changed in the next 4 days, then the divisions are clear to see.
I have no idea, to be honest. But what we're not seeing in this manifesto is the costing. The really interesting thing for me as a journalist and for Kate as a journalist will be when we run the rule and scrutiny over what taxes are being raised to pay for this. I don't think all of that is in there, and it wouldn't have been because it's incredibly sensitive. But I think the big bombshell that Labour will drop when it launches the manifesto is quite how much it's prepared to tax super rich, property speculators, you know, big companies to pay for all this. I don't think that is all there.
Kate, it says, your headline on the Telegraph today says that Corbyn's manifesto will take Britain back to the 1970s. Do you think that is fair?
Oh, well, I think so. It's our headline, so I would stand by it. But I think there's quite a lot in this manifesto that I would say takes the country backwards, particularly echoes Labour's manifesto in 1983, which of course didn't go particularly well with the public. Renationalising things like the energy markets, the railways, Royal Mail, those policies may well play well with Labour's base, but they're not particularly outward or interesting or new policies for people who might be looking to Labour as an alternative to the Conservatives. And of course, as Paul says, they are very expensive, and there are no costings for those policies in this manifesto, and that will be one of the key details that we look to see over the next couple of days. I think one of the other interesting things is the influence of the unions on this manifesto. If you look at the types of policies that are written into here, there are things about Orgreave, there are quite a lot of things about pensions, miners' pensions in particular, quite specific issues on train drivers and strikes and things like that, which have clearly been written into the manifesto, looking at which different groups Labour has to satisfy in order to get this manifesto passed and approved before it goes to the public. And I wonder how well those things will go down with the wider population, many of whom aren't members of unions and don't focus on those kinds of things as their priorities in this election.
Kate, I'm curious, I know you're not going to tell me how this exactly happened, but I'm curious how the Telegraph gets hold of a Labour draft manifesto. The Telegraph, a right-leaning paper, gets this manifesto. How on earth did those circumstances arise?
I would say good journalism, and of course a good journalist would never reveal their sources, so I can't talk about exactly how we came by that leak, but yeah, it's good journalism. That's how it works. If there is, and obviously Labour is about to have a huge conversation about its manifesto today, where it will decide, as Paul says, with union leaders and members and other people at the top of the party, exactly what goes in that manifesto. And that's the point. This document and a couple of others like it have been circulated among quite a big group of people. But I think it's an interesting point to make that this has happened before. Labour does this every time it writes a manifesto, and it's never leaked before in full. And that really does expose the deep split within the party at the moment, that Jeremy Corbyn and his top team couldn't keep their manifesto under wraps.